everyone, welcome back to Sweet Yellow House, and today I have 4 projects for you. These are projects that kind of, you've had those where things just don't go as planned and you have to really work to get that end result. So this is what we got today. Project 1 is this Grape Plaque. It's kind of like a resin. Here I had painted it once and I've had it like this for some time, so I just kind of wanted to update it. And so I'm gonna start off by kind of brushing it with this chip brush, only because it had some decrepit dust on it and I just kind of wanted to dust some of that off. So I painted it with Dixie Belle patina paint and the spray, and I didn't like that. This is the way that it came out. I didn't like the way it looked, and so I kind of thought that it would look good using the terracotta, the Dixie Belle terracotta. So I pulled out my paint. This is just a little container that I had left over from a different project. So I'm just using a brush. I did several coats on this just because it has a lot of texture on it, and dried that with my heat gun, and then I pulled out my bare wax. A lot of times I use this wax when I have something that's really textured, just because it's a very soft wax and it gets into those crevices easy. So I'm going to wet a paper towel and then begin to apply that wax using a smaller paintbrush, just so that I can get into all of those small details. So I'm just going around and pushing that wax into all of the details, making sure that I have full coverage. And then with that wet paper towel, I'm just going to proceed to wipe it back until I'm happy. So what I did here was I got a dry paintbrush and I'm just going into all those little crevices that I can't get with the paper towel. So I let that wax set up for maybe 10 minutes, and then I'm going to grab my DIY decrepit dust and I'm just going to begin to sprinkle that all over the plaque, because the wax is going to hold on to that for me. So here I just kind of sprinkling it around, going around the parts that I know it's going to get down into the crevices, and then with a small paintbrush I'm just pushing that decrepit dust down into the details. Then I went back and grabbed that same chip brush and I'm just going to begin to kind of smooth that decrepit dust out using that brush and the paper towels, just kind of getting into all of the little crevices and pushing that dust down there. I want it to look like it's been sitting outside in my garden forever, just gathering dust basically. So I really like the way that this turned out. It looks really authentic, like it is terracotta, and super happy with this. I actually hung this up at my front door on the side, so I just think it looks really pretty. So project 2 is these 3 little containers here, are little planters, and I got these from a friend, and I just proceeded to take off the little feet that are on the bottom, and just kind of removing any of the stickers or anything. And then here's where things kind of got weird. I thought that this stuff was painted on, the white paint with I thought it was paint, and then I realized that it was a sticker all the way around. Now this was half on, half off. Seemed like it was peeling really easy in some places, and then in other places I had to really work to peel it off. So it took me probably a good 45 minutes to an hour just to get everything peeled off. And once I got that done, I took it outside, and with the bare matte paint, spray paint, I painted all of them inside and out with that spray paint. So I'm gonna grab the wild berries and the IOD along with the amazing resin in the tan, and this is just a 1-to-1 ratio, and I'm going to go ahead and fill the whole mold up. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to use with this, what pieces I'm going to use. So I just went ahead and made the whole mold there. So once those set up, I just pull them out, and I actually, using my scissors, just trimmed off any extra that I had, trimmed it into pieces if I wanted smaller pieces, and just kind of got it to a place where I think it's manageable for these little planters. So I just then started to kind of think about my design, and these are still fairly soft, but they are starting to set up. So I'm just trying to work out a design quickly before they get too hard and I can't cut them easily. So once I have that kind of where I want, I'm gonna use my Type Bond Quick and Thick and use that to glue these molds onto the planters. Once I got those molds put into place, I just used a small paintbrush just to get out any excess glue that was squeezing out from there, and then use tape to hold those in place. I just didn't use that one mold. I actually used 3 others, and they're here. 2 are from Redesigned by Prima, and then this blossoms from IOD. I used elements from all of these to make up designs for those 3 little planters. For these molds here, I use the amazing resin in the regular white. There's no reason that I changed it other than I just had some of that white left over in some bottles that I wanted to use up. So again, once those set up, I just removed them from the molds and proceeded to glue those as well to the planters. I had several of these little castings left over, so I just decided to make some tags that I had left over from a project from before. You saw me make those tags in a video earlier this month, and so I just kind of wanted to redo those or make more of those. So after the glue setup, I take the tape off of there, and I'm going to use the bluegrass and the salt wash and mix that up on and put them on one of the planters. I actually used 3 different colors. I used bluegrass and then French eggshell and conservatory. Bluegrass is from Dixie Belle, French eggshell and conservatory are from Fusion. So I just use one color on each of these. I just kind of wanted something different on each of them, and I didn't want to make them all the same. I just thought that was kind of a great trio together. They really complemented each other. I think that Fusion Conservatory is my new favorite color for the moment. I just really love the way that it turned out on these projects. So after I got those painted and with the several coats and made sure everything was dry, again I'm grabbing my bare white wax and using a soft brush, I'm just going to begin to apply that all over, inside and out, a fairly good coat of that, and then just wiping it back with a paper towel. I'm going to do all sides, like I said, inside and out, just making sure that everything is covered well. I go back to a dry brush and use that brush just to kind of get out any clumps of wax that got caught in those details. I don't really want that, so it's just easier for me to get those out with a brush. So once I have that done, I'm grabbing my DIY dark wax, and I'm going to use a smaller brush. I'm doing the 2 brush method here, so I'm applying it with the small brush just kind of like around those details, not too heavy. I don't want a really heavy look here. And then I'm grabbing the dry brush and just feathering that out, making sure that I have it really good and faded out. I don't want any really harsh, dark wax anywhere. I want it to look kind of, muted there. So I apply that, some over the castings as well, and then I wipe that back. And here I'm just actually hitting those corners with that wax, and then using a paper towel just to kind of feather that back. Putting that white wax on has made it really easy to get that look that I wanted. It didn't stick anywhere. It was able to move around freely because it had that white wax underneath. So now I'm going to grab my liquid leaf in this classic gold, and with a small paintbrush I'm just going to use that and highlight those details in the molds. I'm going fairly heavy with this. I'm not going down into the details. I'm just hitting those high points. I'm just showing one of the planters all the way through because the rest of them I just use the same techniques for all of them. So I did take that paintbrush and drag it around the top of that planter as well. So I'm going to use these little feet on these planters. These are not wood, so I can't screw them in, so I'm using a really good super glue to just glue those into place. Once I have those all glued into place, I just kind of press down on the top of that just to make sure that everything is even and it'll sit evenly. And that's how those turned out. I love these. I think that they're great. Peeling off all of that stuff was kind of a pain, but I feel like it totally worth it. These are going up on my website for sale, and I will have those listed within the next couple of days. I really like how all of these colors look on the planters, so I use those same colors to make these tags. And these tags I also am going to put up on my website for sale, so go check that out. So project 3 are these oval trays. I got these trays at Home Goods a couple of years ago, and they still have the tag on them. I never use them. I got them for my house, but they've been sitting in my cabinet, so I just never used them. So I'm gonna grab that Fusion Conservatory, and I'm going to start painting those after I clean them up. And again, I am not using one color for all of these. I'm using 4 different colors. So I'm using Conservatory, and then I'm going to use a Chateau Infusion, and then I'm going to use French Eggshell Infusion as well. And then the last one I'm going to use is the Dixie Belle Briar Patch. So I painted these. It took about 2 to 3 coats to cover these, full coverage, front and back, and drying those coats with my heat gun. And I just wanted to make sure that I had full coverage with these. So once I got those coated and dried completely, I'm going to go in and take my transfers from IOD in Katarina and pick out some transfers that I like for these trays. So I already picked what I wanted and cut those out, and I'm going to begin applying those to the trays. I really love the color of these trays along with the transfers. They are just so beautiful, and that deep green is just lovely with those yellow roses on there. So here is the French Eggshell in Fusion, and then this is the Fusion Conservatory, and that is Chateau Infusion. So once I have all of those applied, I feel like it needs a little something more. So I grabbed the Gilded Transfers in Etiquettes from IOD, and I just pick out a couple of those that I can add to these trays. So I want to add something that is kind of just like not completely over the whole bottom, but just like a little added piece. So I'm putting them, some of them I'm kind of overlapping, and then some of them are just going either above or below that transfer. Once I get all those applied to there, I grab some paper, I tape that together so I can get the length I want, and I'm gonna make a template because I'm gonna apply these little feet on all of them. So it's just easier if I had a template, so I got them all placed in the right location. So I just made a template, and then I go around and use that to mark all of the spots that I'm gonna put the feet at, and it just made this little task go a lot quicker. So once I had all of the feet applied, I took this dark green one out and applied the Rust-Oleum Matte Clear. That one came out perfect. Now I took the rest of them out, and lo and behold, as soon as I applied that, it crackled. I don't know if any of you have ever had that happen, but it only happened to the ones that I painted with the Fusion. I have no idea what that's about. So I kind of thought I could either sand all these down and start all over or kind of work with it. So I just decided to go with kind of a rough antique look. So I just kind of sanded some of that down, and then using my Sweet Pickins dark wax, just applied a coat over all of these. Now, the one that is painted in the conservatory, which is the light green, my niece came and saw that one and wanted it, but she wanted me to add resin to the bottom of it because she doesn't want it to get messy. She wants to be able to wipe it out. She wants to put it in her bathroom to put her perfume and things like that on it. So I just mixed up some resin, and this is a long term resin, and I just made enough to cover the bottom of that. Here I'm just kind of pouncing it to get those air bubbles to come to the top, and then using my heat gun to pop those. So once I get that all poured in there, I'm making sure that I'm pouring that slow, and then using my heat gun again to pop any of those air bubbles that are in there. If I didn't get all of them, I just use a paintbrush to kind of pick those out, and then I cover it so that there's no dust that gets on there and gets trapped in that resin. So here's the green one that was painted with the Dixie Belle, that the matte coating came out great. This one, I started to spray it and then stopped because I didn't want it to kind of do that whole thing that this one did with that. Let me know if any of you have kind of experienced this. I don't even know. It just was a mystery to me, but I think that they all came out great anyway. So project 4 is a quick one. I have this copper pitcher, and I just kind of wanted to spruce that up. So I'm going to use Saint Germain in the IOD. This is the new summer release, and I just pick out this particular transfer, and I'm just going to apply that to the pitcher. I did wipe this pitcher down with some alcohol before I started. And now I'm just cutting some slits in there because this pitcher is pretty curvy, just so that it could release some of that tension and it would be a little bit easier to apply that transfer on there. I did get a very minimal kind of wrinkling of that transfer in one little spot, but I thought it came out pretty well considering that this, like I said, this little vase is pretty curvy. So once I have that applied, I just kind of burnish that down. You want to make sure you kind of do this not so rough. Just because sometimes those transfers can get caught on that carrier sheet. So I did this, and then I actually did 2 little utensil holders like I did a couple of weeks ago. I had these sitting around and thought that they too would look really pretty with this particular color palette and these transfers. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you spending your time with me, and let me know what you think about these projects this week. I just was like, trying to get through them. It just seemed like at every turn I was having to go back and try to fix something, but I got through it, and I think they all came out great. So I will see you soon.